we're in the St James's Park tunnel for the latest Off Script. Gary Neville, delighted to be with us, aren't you, Gary?
I am delighted to be with you, and you haven't really got an idea of what this interview is going to be about. So what I'll do is I'll take you through my last couple of weeks. I've been doing a shake diet the last couple of weeks.
Oh dear. Go on.
It's interesting, football and nutrition. Nutrition came into football we had a nutritionist at United in the first year I was at the club in 92, 93. And until then, we used to have cheese flans, sausages, chips every single day, no problems. Chicken nuggets, all the rest of it. And all of a sudden, carbohydrates came in.
Now it sounds very beige, that food.
Yeah, and now I've just gone on a little shake diet the last couple of weeks, which I never do diets because I don't do diets that are unsustainable. But it's interesting. A lot of vegan football players now, a lot of players that are a lot more aware of it. But
you've got a book coming out, have you? This is not for like.
I feel a lot more clear in my head through no alcohol, no sweet. I broke it last night because Salford won. But actually, for 2 weeks, no alcohol, no sweets, no chocolate, no crisps, nothing. And I feel unbelievable up here. So it's just something that I think that people at home listening, if you want to feel a little bit better, have a look at it. And that's a little bit of something interesting at the start of this. Is it off the script or on the script?
Off script.
It's on the script. It's on the script this week.
Would you say this diet's improved your mood?
No, actually, I feel more alert. I feel more lively. You're travelling a lot and you're having a few drinks. You're eating chocolate on the way, Sky especially. There's little sweets everywhere and little bits everywhere. I've been really methodical and I feel so much better for it. So I'm reporting that into the camera. I'm hoping that Sky are going to reap the rewards of it with a more alert Gary Neville.
What I was actually going to ask you about is, because as we were doing our bit for Sky Sports News, the Longstaff brothers walked through, and it made me think of a question for you. What does it take to have two brothers coming through like that? You obviously had it with Phil.
It was, to be honest with you, I have to say, when we were growing up, it was pushing each other all the time. Phil was pushing me, I was pushing him. Then we got to United, he was breaking into the first team at a similar time to me, and I was out the team, he was in the team. Then it got quite competitive at a period. If people may not remember, the 96 double-winning team where Eric Cantona scored that goal against Liverpool, Phil played in the game and I was on the bench.
What was that like?
Oh, it was painful. He played the last few games of the title-winning season that year and the one that basically won us the FA Cup. And then a week later, we were with England in Euro 96 and Terry Venables picked me. So it was a time where we were... And then Phil got an illness around that time and was out for a period, and I sort of established myself a little bit and, played more. But generally, we were pushing each other all the time. And I think the thing for me was there was great support. It wasn't just Phil, actually. We had 6 brothers. I mean, literally, we were inseparable. Me, Giggsy, Scholes, Phil, Bex and Butty, and we were in each other's rooms all the time. There was always one of us left out or 2 of us left out, and you'd always have to pick the other up. You'd always make sure none of us got too down. You always knew when the others were suffering, and pulling each other through. I remember probably France 98 when Phil got left out of the squad, and it was just devastation, and Nicky. And me and Scholesy were there, and they left that night on the plane to go back with Gaza, if you remember. And I remember me and Scholesy that night sharing a room together, and we were devastated. We suffered with them. We just didn't want them to leave. But obviously Bex was there as well. So no, it was good in the sense that you were there for each other. What you talk about young people now, we're a lot more aware of mental health, and we never had problems 20 odd years ago. But you did have moments where you were down, where you did pull each other through. And that's, I think, important in football. And for the boys here at Newcastle, it'll be good for them because they'll suffer injuries, disappointment, being left out, sometimes elation, and you need to bring each other back down to earth. And that's the support that you can give each other as brothers, but not just brothers, but teammates as well.
Do you think most of it was genetic? Do you think you were kind of born talented? Because obviously Tracy, your sister, made the top of her sport as well. Or is it more a family environment, driving each other on, like you said a minute or so ago?
Yeah, I mean, look, there are some God-given talents, and myself and my brother certainly were in that category.
You were good cricketers as well, though, weren't you?
We were decent cricketers. What we were supported enormously and born into a sporting family. And I think about my mum. My mum, even now, I'm ashamed to say this, every Monday and Thursday night from 4:30 till 8:30, my 2 girls play netball, and she texts them every Monday and Thursday. And that way, I come home from Manchester and I've been in the office and have meetings and things like that, and I'm like, oh God, Mum, and every single time she takes them without fail. And the same this morning. My wife's gone as well, obviously, but generally they're there all the time. And my mum and dad just took us everywhere to play netball, my sister obviously, and for us playing football and cricket. And the hours they put into us was unbelievable. My nan and granddad's as well at the time. So we were surrounded by sport, we practiced it, we loved it, and we worked hard. We had a good work ethic, and I think through that, then the passion for sport, the work ethic, we then developed enough talent to be able to play football at a high level. But it wasn't sort of, we weren't born with it. I mean, we weren't gracing the fields of Bury, you know what I mean, or anything like that. There weren't people coming to watch us train on a Monday night thinking, oh, these two boys are big.
So you kind of knew they were there for Scholesy and Becks and not necessarily for the Neville brothers?
Well, I was central midfield player at Manchester United as a sort of 12-year-old, 13, 14-year-old. Then David Beckham, Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes joined, and I was a right back all of a sudden.
Right back or sub, you had to choose?
Yeah, I was like, I thought, oh dear, I've got a bit of a problem here because there's some talented players here that are a different level of talent than I was. They joined the club, and I thought, I better find another position, and the club moved me back to centre-back initially. And then because of my height and Steve Bruce and Gary Pallister in the first team, they moved me to right back because Paul Parker had been picking up some injuries. So I had to adapt over the years, and to be honest with you, beggars can't be choosers. Stick me in the team anywhere, and I was happy.
I'm going to try this as a last question because I mentioned it to you off camera and you gave me a blank look. But did you see the snooker player, Neil Robertson? He had a match in Barnsley, went to the wrong Barnsley and got knocked out of the tournament because of it. One of the best snooker players in the world. Anything like that ever happened to you?
No, but you asked me that off camera, and I told you I'd not heard of him, and I told you that nothing had happened like that to me. So I'll just repeat what I've said off camera, which is why I went into the diet chat, because I thought we had nowhere to go in the interview.
We'll cut out early here.
It seems really strange that. I mean, I tell you what I have done once actually. Is
Here we go, some gold.
Newcastle. I've put Newcastle into my navigation, I think, once, and ended up travelling towards the one. I think it's the one in Stafford, isn't it? Yeah. So I mean, but I worked it out quite quickly. I mean, I didn't carry on going. I had enough about me to think that actually I'm going the wrong way down the M62 here. But no, that can happen, but it would seem quite strange. Okay. Why would he? Was he driving himself?
I think he was driving himself, but doesn't usually drive himself. So that's maybe why he got himself into a bit of bother.
Right, and he didn't realise that he was going towards the south of
He
England.
didn't know there were two Barnsleys. I didn't know there were two Barnsleys.
No, I didn't know there were two Barnsleys, but I would know that Barnsley's in Yorkshire and that one's not in...
He's Australian, to be fair.
That'll explain it. Now, snooker used to be a game that I used to watch all the time growing up.
Favourite player?
Growing up was Alex Higgins, Jimmy White. I used to like the thrill players, Ian Botham at cricket. I was never the Davis Hendry type of fan, but I respect them more now as I get older when I think of the excellence of them. But no, I was more White and Higgins, and it was Cliff Thorburn, Willie Thorne, Terry Griffiths. Bill Werbeneck?
Bill Werbeneck, yeah, wasn't he Canadian?
Was he Canadian? I think he was, yeah. There was, Tony Knowles from Bolton.
You thought this wouldn't work?
There was a Tony Knowles snooker club in Bolton, I think, at one point. Yeah, we used to go to Salford
Highest
Snooker.
break?
I don't know what my highest break is, but I'll tell you a story. We used to go and play, me, Bex, John O'Kane, my brother, Chris Casper, Ben Thornley, in Salford Snooker 3-4 times a week after training. And you talk about spirit. You build spirit in a football club. But then we used to go to Salford Snooker and we used to play doubles against each other. And it was incredible, them 2 or 3 hours that we'd spend there, and we'd basically have fantastic times playing snooker, because it was a game that, we used to put a little bit of a bet on it as well. Only a little bit, £1.
Every time Cara does this, he talks about betting.
Yeah, just £1, you know what I mean? No, not Cara level, you know what I mean? Not betting your house and all that sort of stuff, or ridiculous bets. No, it was just, we used to have a bet against each other, and just, it was really competitive, but it built a spirit as well. So there's a little snooker story for you. But we did go to the right Salford Snooker. We didn't go to the different, we didn't end up in Barnsley or wherever, something like that.
It was definitely off script, wasn't it?
It was on script.
Thank you.